Hello YouTubers, this is Cessnaace back again with another video. As I mentioned recently, I am awaiting 3 parcels of LaserDiscs. In preparation for receiving those discs, I have been going through the discs I already have, which was 769, it's now 768. I had pulled some out and I had them stored they were vertical. They were leaning slightly against a bookcase. As I said, I was going through them. I was making holes in the collection so that I could put the new discs when they came in alphabetical order with the discs that I already have, if that explanation made any sense. Something that I've mentioned in previous videos is I have permanent inner ear nerve damage. The top part of the middle ear nerve, the upper third, is not damaged. The middle third has moderate damage and the lower third has severe damage. And the gist of it is, I suffer from bouts of vertigo and I have balance issues, and sometimes I fall. And today I was leaning forward ever so slightly as I was going through the discs, and I fell. And I knew right away I was falling, and I also couldn't stop it. As I lay on the ground, I realized I was laying on top of a LaserDisc. I pulled it out from under me, and it was in the shape of a U. The jacket was. The disc was still in the jacket. Not good. I knew it wasn't good as soon as I saw it. It wasn't good. Unfortunately, the LaserDisc in question is a full moon title. Not a particularly good one, but an interesting one. The movie is called Bad Channels, and the two most interesting parts of it to me are that featured in the cast was one of the original MTV VJs, Martha Quinn, and the music in the movie was composed and performed by Blue Oyster Cult. Now, I didn't pay a lot for this back in '96 when I bought it. You'll notice the hole punch there, meaning I got it out of the discount bin. I'm sure you can easily see the crease present in the jacket. As I mentioned, it was in the shape of a U. Now, with a great deal of trepidation, I pulled the inner sleeve out of the jacket. A lot of LaserDisc came with the inner sleeve just being a piece of plastic, which collectors derogatorily refer to as elephant condoms, but I went through my collection some time ago and replaced all of those with poly-lined paper sleeves, which are sturdier and protect the disc better. But obviously it's not going to protect the disc from how much I weigh falling onto it with a great deal of force. Pulled the disc out of the jacket, out the sleeve, and I immediately noticed that the only thing holding this disc together, or I should say these discs together, because what a LaserDisc actually is two discs glued back to back. The only thing holding these discs together is the label. As I mentioned, this was in the shape it was originally when I pulled it out from under me, except inside the jacket. Now, obviously, I'm not going to stick this in a player. I'm not that big of a fool, because it would fly apart and kill the machine. One of the LaserDisc manufacturers that had a real problem was Technodisc. Technodisc opened and then shut down and retooled, and then opened and then shut down and retooled and then opened again. So there were 3 eras of Technodisc discs. And the whole reason I bring up Technodisc is because their first batch of LaserDiscs had a habit, at least this was circulating among collectors at the time, of separating inside the player and flying apart. This is not good. Now, another aspect of LaserDisc that has a Technodisc collection is a lot of discs, well, I don't know if I say a lot, but numerous, quite a bit. What's the difference between quite a bit and numerous? I don't know. Anyway, that were made by more than one LaserDisc manufacturing facility. And some, even as many as 3 different facilities, made the same print run of discs. But some plants were better than others. Now, the way you can tell who manufactured a disc is there are 2 sets of numbers in the dark band there. If you can see that. Right underneath the full moon logo there is one batch of numbers. No, numbers and letters. And there is a second group of numbers. If you go to the LaserDisc database, and if somebody hasn't already beaten you to it, you could enter in the mint marks. And the software that the administrator is using there automatically calculates where the disc was made when you type in the mint codes. And this can become very important. Take, for example, the boxed set CAV release of the uncut version of James Cameron's film Aliens. If you go to the LaserDisc database and look up that title, you'll notice that it's marked as being critical. The likelihood is that if you buy a copy of that box set, it's going to be defective. Now, there were 2 different facilities that made that disc, or made those discs for that release. Most, it seems, were made by Sony's US plant, if I remember correctly. But then the second manufacturer, the one that made my discs, had a much better, apparently, much better luck with that release than Sony did. My copy is made by Mitsubishi, or was made by Mitsubishi in Japan, as evidenced by the differing mint marks. And it plays perfectly. So if you're looking to buy a title that has a high degree of probability for a laser rot on the database, and you see that it was manufactured by more than one facility. If one of those facilities was PDO UK in England, Technodisc in the US, or Sony's US plant, DADC USA, then chances are it's going to be bad. You might luck out, but there's a higher degree of chance of that being defective than if you get a disc that was made by one of the other companies, like Kure or Toshiba EMI, which so far, from what I've seen, they only released a disc. They only made discs for release in Japan. But Kure made discs for both Japan and the U.S., as did Sony's Japanese plant, as did Pioneer's Japanese plant, and like I said, Mitsubishi and Kure. So it makes a difference on some titles, a lot of difference. So when you go to buy one of these titles, ask the seller if it's opened and not sealed. If you can look at the disc, and if you can't look at the disc because you're not in the same city or whatever, ask for them to look at the numbers there in the dark band so that you can determine who manufactured the disc. Now, hopefully this is the last time I'll be able to do this with a LaserDisc. Until next time, stay awesome.